From ABC 21 Alive, your local sports authority, this is Sound Off with the Comets, presented by PHP, live from Champion Sports Bar.
The Comets season is officially underway. The boys falling in a shootout on Saturday night and the opener against Toledo. And our old friend, Kaylee Schrock, is in the house, a sports bar in downtown Fort Wayne. We're going to talk with Schrocky not only about the game the other night, looking forward ahead, and also about some of the changes in the offseason. Hi, everybody, and welcome inside Sound Off with the Comets, brought to you by PHP. We are excited to be here at Champion Sports Bar on a Monday night in downtown Fort Wayne, located in the Courtyard by Marriott. We're going to be here all season long. We invite you, come on down, enjoy the show. First of all, though, we want to welcome in Schrocky. How you doing?
Great. Glad to be back. Nice seeing you again.
Tendencies to execute the game plan, and everybody buys in, and we can have a lot of success. But the way that our systems are set up, if a guy gets off the page, it can fall apart in a hurry. For us, it's like I'm a broken record, but it's just about getting consistent in what we do right.
I think once you simplify the game, then you get your confidence. That's when we really show our true colors. I think when we simplify the game early and then get our confidence, it allows us to make plays and let our skilled guys go out there and do what they do.
Tommy Schegler here, as always. Brandon Marino, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thanks, Tommy. How you doing?
We're doing well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this past weekend, and then we'll expand a little bit further. But both games, you guys get leads early, especially on Saturday night, a 3-0 lead. And in both games, you end up giving up the lead late. In all three games so far this season, in fact, you guys have had the lead early, only to see the second half of the game not go as well. We were talking about it before we came on air. Can you put your finger on why that trend has started?
I mean, unfortunately, it's not something you can say this is why we do it, but obviously it's something that needs to be fixed and we need to address. It's great that we're getting the first goal in our games and we're starting off strong and getting teams on their heels, but then then it seems like teams get us on our heels and we sit back and let them bring it to us for some reason. And, it's obviously something we need to address and, take time to fix, but at the same time, it's not something that you can say this is the reason. So,
right.
We just need to find a way to be prepared for 60 minutes, and, that's what's going to win us games. So
483-8331 is the number to call, or you can hit us up on Twitter, as always, at INC Soundoff. We invite you to call in now. We will open up the phone lines here shortly, try to get you involved in the conversation. When it comes to the game on Saturday night, from an individual standpoint, though, you got it going. You had 2 goals in that game, the second of which in the third period was pretty goal.
Well, thank you. Obviously when you're having personal success, it's great, but if it doesn't translate into team wins, it's not really all that special. It's a great thing to have guys going. Mickey Lang's off to a hot start also, but unfortunately we haven't got that first win yet, which is obviously the biggest thing why we're all here. This town wants us to win, and we want to win obviously as hockey players, and Gary's trying to get the best out of us as he can, and I think that we just got to figure something out here and put it together to where it translates into wins. So
never going to subside. I think just over time the way I cope with my loss is going to change.
Austin Hatch speaks publicly for the first time since the plane crash that took the life of his father and stepmom. We're going to talk about this unbelievable story and unbelievable kid.
I'm going to have to respectfully decommit from Purdue, and I'll be attending the University of Notre Dame for the next 4 years.
And another standout athlete from our area makes a big decision earlier this week. Drew Tranquil committing to Notre Dame, leaving the Boilers behind. We're going to talk about the decision and the lone area team still left alive in the high school football playoffs. Dwenger in the 4A semi-state for the first time since 2010. Will the Saints go marching down to Indy? We're going to talk about that. Hi, everybody. Welcome inside the Sport One Parkview Fieldhouse. Tommy Schegler and Kent Horman here on a Thursday night. We are ready to sound off. We hope you are as well. The number to call is 483-8331. We had 2 very interesting, very unique local stories this week. We'd love to focus on those for this half hour. Waited nearly 2.5 years to hear from Austin Hatch after that devastating plane crash that took his father and stepmother and almost took him as well. He spoke yesterday in a press conference in Loyola High School out in Los Angeles for the first time. And Kent, I have to say, it was 25 minutes or so of taking questions, and you had to come away. I don't see how you would come away not very, very impressed with that young man.
Impressed is maybe the understatement, too, and I had a chance to look in on that, Tommy. And again, from where he was to then what happened to him to where he is now, I think is just nothing short of remarkable. And I was thinking about this when I was watching it, and then when you and I were talking about this would be one of the major focal points of Sound Off tonight. That has to be, in my mind, the most exceptional story in my lifetime that I will ever witness in all the years I've been in the media and will continue to be. That has to be the most tremendous story, I think, in my lifetime.
I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another one that could compete with it. And we'd like to give you, the public, the chance tonight to kind of express your thoughts about the Austin Hatch story, whether it's wanting to wish him well, whether it's an inspiration that he's given you in your life, whether you just want to kind of voice what you think about the story overall and some of the things that you thought as this whole thing has played out before us. Because yesterday was the first time that we actually have heard from Austin, it's really the first time we've gotten his side of the story, and we feel like we probably knew his side of the story, but to hear from him out of his own mouth and in his own words, I feel like kind of opens the floodgates of emotion that go along with that story for this community. Again, my hope is that we could spend a good chunk of the time tonight taking your calls and tweets, and we'll post this to the internet. My hope is that Austin might log on to our website and be able to see what his community that he grew up in, that he spoke so highly of yesterday in that press conference, has to say to him. So start calling in now, 483-8331, with your thoughts on the Austin Hatch story. Anything goes. You can also tweet us at INC Sound Off. We're going to take our first break, and we'll be back after this. We're rolling along here on Sound Off.
You eat enough of it.
Yeah, pretty much every Thursday night. Okay, so switching gears tonight here on Sound Off, and if you are a Notre Dame fan or a Purdue fan, want to talk about Drew Tranquill, you probably have about 3 minutes to call in right now. 483-8331, or send us a tweet at INC Sound Off. Drew Tranquill jumps from his Purdue commitment and decides to commit to Notre Dame a couple of days ago. I was lucky enough to kind of be with Drew as part of the day went along and got an interview with him. I was in the room when he talked to Coach Kelly. And you know, I think it's very interesting when you get a chance to sit on this side of things, because it's very easy to be a fan and say, oh, that kid, you know, he was committed to us and he jumped and how dare he and blah, blah, blah. When you sit on this side and you see that's a 17-year-old kid,
yes.
And let me just tell you, they don't come a lot better than Drew Tranquill. I mean, Drew Tranquill is about as legit of an amazing kid that you can get, and he was wrestling with it. It's a huge decision.
Well, what a tough life. You have a chance to play in the Big Ten for Purdue and pursue engineering, which he wanted to do, or to go to Notre Dame, and really, I mean, truthfully, enough said. And he is the complete package, Tommy. He's a gifted athlete. You know, I thought about this. He's a dual threat as a football player. Mm-hmm. He'll be a defensive player likely in college, but offense and defense. And now he'll be a dual threat in college, a double major. Entrepreneurial business and technical engineering. Yeah, he's got a pretty rough life ahead of him. But you know that you just talked about this. There is, I'm sure, a lot of angst and anguish when you have those type of choices available to you, and he had to pick one.
I know it's frustrating for Purdue fans, but at bottom line, when Notre Dame comes calling, you get to play for Notre Dame, and that's a big thing to walk away from. I don't blame him for his decision one bit. I think he made the right choice, but you do have to feel for Purdue. Got to take our last break of the show. We'll be back from the field house after this. It was a great weekend for the Comets this past weekend in the Coliseum. 2 overtime wins. The boys now over 500, and things are moving in the right direction. Defenseman and captain Nick Tuzzolino, our guest here at Champion Sports Bar. We got another great crowd. Welcome inside, Champions, everybody. It is Monday. It is cold outside. It feels like hockey season. Tommy Schegler along with Nick Tuzzolino. Tuzzy, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Tommy. Thanks for having me on.
We got a good crowd. This is your first time ever on the show.
Yes, this is my first time.
Yeah, so this is something we've been doing for several years now. It gives you a chance to kind of get up and close and personal, not only with the live audience here at Champions, but also as a new guy on the team with the audience at home. Kind of introduce yourself, if you will, outside of just hockey. So let's start there before we get too far into the actual X's and O's of what happened this past weekend. You're a guy that's been a pro for 7-8 years, new to Fort Wayne. You get named captain. All that stuff's got to be really cool stuff to happen in the last couple months.
Yeah, it's all a very humbling experience, no doubt. Coming to Fort Wayne was great. I've been out west for a while, and me and my wife are from Buffalo, New York, which is very similar to the city, and we jumped at the opportunity to really come out here and have some fun.
And you're named captain right off the bat. I mean, talk a little bit about what that's been like. How does that change the way you approach a season, and how are you going about trying to be the leader of this team?
At first it was a very crazy experience because trying to replace Colin Chalk is something that's never going to happen. He was quite a guy here and a legend in this town. In saying that, though, it's been quite an honor to step in that locker room and try and lead those guys. Guys like Schrock and Marino by my side really helped me out, and we have a very strong room.
Yeah, very strong room with a lot of good leaders. So I would think that would make things a lot easier. It also makes it a lot easier when you start putting W's up, which is something that started happening this weekend, and really over the last 3 games, you guys have started to put it together a little bit.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think we look at our 10 games or so we've played, and where it's only 2 that we really want back and feel that we really, let those get away. We were in every ball game, some really tight ones at home that we let slip early, and we were really excited to get those 2 this weekend.
483-8331 is the number to call, or as always, you can send us a tweet at INC SoundOff. We are talking with the captain, Nick Tuzzolino, as we head deeper into the schedule. You got 3 games and 3 nights coming up here at the end of the week, 2 of which are at home. It was nice to see you guys start to get on a roll a little bit at home. First 3 games had been a little shaky. It's good to get over that hump.
Yeah, especially, playing in the city. It's one of those places where playing at home can be such an advantage for us, and you got to get that mentality and that swagger and get on a roll here. So going into this weekend, we're expecting to put up 2 more at home for sure.
What felt different, if anything felt different, but what has gone differently in the last 3 games than over those first several?
I think coming back from Vegas, we kind of bonded as a team and really started to get that confidence that we talked about. We went into Cincinnati that week before and with a short lineup and beat a #1 team in the league, and we brought that into our homestand.
When it comes to the way in which you guys have gotten wins, and even the games that haven't gone well, you guys have come out strong right off the bat. I mean, that's something that everybody who's watched this team so far has definitely been able to see. What do you think leads to the strong start? But then I guess the question that everybody's asking is, what has happened in the ones where you have let the guys back into it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like our team's young in a sense where not a lot of guys have played in the ECHL. There's definitely a couple of us that have spent years in this league, but it's an adjustment, and you need to play the full 60 minutes. And, I think the fans and everyone will see it when we put a team away 3-0 or 4-0 in the first and second period. They can't get that 3rd and 4th goal. We need to just leave it at that and beat them 5-1 and keep your foot on the gas the whole game.
Do you feel like just being able to get over the hump like you did this past weekend, have guys make runs at you, but then be able to hold on in the end, might start that process of kind of learning how to win or learning how to play with a lead?
It's no doubt. Those 2 games this weekend have just been huge for us, and it's going to be real big for our confidence going into next weekend because we've been pretty good at getting that first goal and getting that lead. So it's going to be really good for our swagger to keep that lead throughout the whole game.
483-8331 is the number to call. We are going to take our first break of the show. Before we do so, we're talking about the games this weekend. I want to remind everybody, obviously we've got the home games on Friday and Saturday. Then the boys hit the road on Sunday. I'm going to hop on the bus with them, and then we're going to bring the game to you live on My TV Fort Wayne, 6 o'clock Fort Wayne time. The K's against Evansville. Don't miss my comments on My TV, brought to you by Parkview Sports Medicine. First break of the show. Start calling now, 483-8331. We'll be back with Nick next. When it comes to what we have to do successfully this weekend, is there anything in particular that Gary is talking about? I know that I spoke with him earlier today, and he was talking about there's a couple little defensive tweaks, not necessarily just the defensemen, but as a team as a whole, we've got to make some defensive tweaks that he thinks will help in our end of the ice.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is defensively is just communication, everybody talking and, reading off one another. So I think we're just going to harp on playing our D zone and talking it out when we get in trouble and when we're scrambling a bit.
All right, good stuff, man. Well, welcome to town.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And keep it going this weekend.
Yes, we definitely will.
All right, you guys have fun with Nick out here? All right. Want to remind everybody we're talking about those games. Make sure you tune in on Sunday. The K's at Evansville, My TV, Fort Wayne. 6 o'clock is the start time, Fort Wayne time. So tune in at 6 o'clock. My Comets on My TV. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show here from Champions. Come on down next week. We'll be here all season long having a good time with the Comets. We appreciate the crowd for coming out this week. We'll see you back here next week.
The Comets are coming off a challenging weekend, picking up 3 out of a possible 6 points. That makes their record 7-7-3 on the season, 3rd place in the division. Joining me tonight is Comets forward Scott Fleming, who picked up 3 points in Saturday's win over Florida, all coming from an outstanding effort and some assists on the play. He is quite the playmaker. We are live from Champion Sports Bar and Restaurant inside the Courtyard by Marriott in downtown Fort Wayne for Sound Off with the Comets, presented by PHP. So welcome to Sound Off with the Comets, presented by PHP. Your insurance deserves your health. I'm Kent Horman, filling in for Tommy Schegler. We've placed Tommy on the IR tonight. He can't go, but only he'll just miss one outing. Joining me tonight is Scott Fleming, the talented forward of the Comets. Scott, thanks for coming by tonight.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Well, first of all, for people who don't know, let's talk about your situation as far as being back in professional hockey. You yourself have been off to a great start, have fast become a fan favorite. But you gave up the game for a couple of years. It didn't seem like it took a long time for you to shake off the rust and get back to the top of your game.
Yeah, I did. Took about a year and a half off just with an injury. Just decided that kind of wanted to stop playing hockey, and then just the game brought me back. Good buddies with Chris Auger, and he kind of mentioned it to me to come back and play, and I just love the game, and it's just great to be back and playing again. It's a lot of fun.
Now, you're still a young guy at 25, so you were able to come back. And how tough was it for you to come back? I always talk you into it, but you come to an ECHL training camp. You come to Fort Wayne, which was highly competitive. How tough was it to kind of get back into high gear?
It wasn't too bad. Just tried to have a good off season, train a lot. Getting back on the ice, there was a lot of rust to get off the first couple weeks, but I was able to come down early and skate with some of the guys, so that helped a lot, and I felt pretty good right from the get-go here.
And it seems like you really haven't skipped a beat. You've blended in very neatly with this hockey team, very skilled offensively, but I think you're also one of the more talented defensive forwards on the team. You're one of the guys who are great on the PK, and you're a great forechecker, which then leads to chances in the offensive zone. So it seems like the motor's always on high.
Yeah, I try to have an all-around game, and playing with 2 great wingers right now with Auger and Marino, it allows us to play well defensively and offensively, and that's what our coach and team wants from us.
From ABC 21 Alive, your local sports authority, this is Sound Off, live from the Sport One Parkview Fieldhouse.
It's championship weekend in college football. That means the talk, it is aplenty on who belongs in the BCS National Championship. We're going to continue the conversation. Love to hear from you in football news, college variety all over the land today. Jameis Winston, no charges going to be brought against the Heisman frontrunner for rape allegations that he has been having hang over his head for the last year. That's out there. Pete Lembo could be out in Muncie. Our ever-important Ball State connection, Kent Horman, will have some thoughts on that. And AWP Football Academy Director Dre Muhammad is going to join us to talk about some stuff going on with AWP that anyone who has kids that play football are going to want to hear over the next couple of weeks. Hi, everybody. Welcome inside the Sport One Parkview Fieldhouse. Tommy Schegler and Kent Horman. K-Ho. What's happening, my man?
It's a great night to talk sports.
It is. It is. We welcome you into the Fieldhouse and into the show. We'd love to get you involved in the conversation. As always, 483-8331 is the number to call. Football fans, college football fans, you can make the argument this is the last year we're really going to have this heated of a debate over, the situation with the national championship because it's the last year for the BCS. I kind of don't think that's the situation. I just think we're going to be arguing about something else next year rather than the top two. We'll be arguing about something else. But nonetheless, the debate is heated right now on who should get in. We'd love to hear from you, 483-8331. Ohio State fans, I know that you have probably some very heated and strong opinions on exactly what should happen over the next couple of weeks. So we'd love to hear from you on that, or you can hit us up on Twitter at INC Soundoff. Can't we have something really special coming up here in the Fieldhouse next week?
Yes, and you're talking about honoring the 21 Alive athletes and all the scholar athletes and the football players and things like that. And I know it's an annual thing that everybody's involved with the TV station after a great season of covering high school football. And then, of course, the scholar athletes. It'll be a superb evening right here at the Fieldhouse.
Yeah, so for the last couple of years, we've been doing our Football Player of the Year award based on our Football Player of the Week's winners that win throughout the course of the season. This year, doing Sound Off here at the Sport One Parkview Fieldhouse, we thought, hey, why don't we do the whole thing live on TV? So next Thursday night, special edition of Sound Off right here from the Fieldhouse. All the best high school football players, their coaches, their parents are all going to be here as we announce live on the air who the 21 Alive Football Player of the Year is. Parkview Sports Medicine, obviously a big part of this whole thing as they are the sponsor of the event, also the sponsor of Sound Off, so we want to thank them for all of their participation in making this whole thing happen, plus the Scholar Athletes of the Year. We've never done this before, but we're going to announce a Scholar Athlete of the Year, and the winner is going to get a $500 scholarship to go towards their college education.
Well, you talk more about it, Tommy, in college as far as student athlete. It begins in middle school. I mean, you're a student. You're a student from kindergarten on, and then if you have the opportunity to play sports, you become a student athlete. So I think it's great because these kids not only excel, in this case on the football field, many of them excel in the classroom as well.
And we kind of think that it's cool that for the first time, we can do it live on TV. So
stuff.
The kids will get their hardware live on Sound Off next Thursday night. Be sure to tune in. We think it's going to be a real fun show. Of course, we have a great show planned for you for the rest of this half hour. Start calling in now. We want you to be a part of this conversation. Who belongs in the BCS National Championship game? 483-8331. We're going to take our first break here from the Fieldhouse. Be back in just a couple of minutes. This is the topic. Who belongs in the national championship game? You got a lot of different opinions on this. You got an undefeated Florida State team that is playing in the ACC championship game. Ohio State's got to get by Michigan State. They, too, are undefeated. So you would think, having two undefeated teams, that this is a no-brainer situation.
Not yet.
So if both of these teams make it through the championship game for their respective conferences, do they both belong in the national championship game?
I am perfectly fine, Tommy, with Florida State, Ohio State. Some people are saying you're putting much too much value in the undefeated season, and people are lambasting, which kind of amazes me. They're lambasting Ohio State for its non-conference schedule. Yes, it was a bunch of cupcakes. They've got to get rid of Youngstown State. They've got to get rid of Buffalo. Oh, by the way, how about Florida State? You know, everybody's pointing the dirty finger at Ohio State because of the Big Ten, because they're devaluing the Big Ten, saying the Big Ten is down.
That's not the only reason. One of the other reasons is they've smacked everyone they've played. You got an Ohio State team that squeaked by a lot of lesser talent.
They're winning.
They're winning, yes.
I seem to remember a guy who looks and dresses and sounds a whole like you a few years ago when West Virginia was going to be going to the national championship game, and you'd already booked your flight, you'd had your tickets all set, and then there was this team called Pittsburgh that kind of got in the way.
Don't talk about that.
Undefeated is undefeated.
We agreed that we'd never speak of that night.
Everybody has a hole in their sleeve.
Look, the bottom line is I don't see how you can put Ohio State into this game. They're not near the team that these other teams are at the top. Mike is our first caller of the night, 483-8331. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Auburn should be ranked number 2 in the country because Auburn played more teams ranked compared to Ohio State.
I think it's hard to question your logic on that, Mike, but although there's a guy to the left of me that seems to think that you're wrong.
Well,
Kent, why don't you?
And I'm not so sure they did play that many more ranked teams because I'm not sure who all Ohio State, when they played, I mean, Wisconsin was ranked, Michigan State will be ranked. They'll be number 10. So, and again, you know, we're putting Auburn, we're ordaining them into the Super Bowl. They won one game on a miracle Hail Mary tip pass at the very end, and then they won this game against Alabama on the most bizarre finishing play, I think, in the history of college football. Oh, but by the way, they won. So they're saying it's not how, but it's if you do win. But nobody will give Ohio State that credit because they're looking at Buffalo, San Diego State, California. Take a look at Florida State's pre-conference schedule and Auburn's pre-conference schedule. Everybody plays their gimmies through those first 4 or 5 games. I'm tired of this. SEC is the top of the world.
But, well, they've only won the last 7 or 8 national championships in a row.
That's fine, because they've put themselves in position to do so.
Mike, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. Well, you make the argument that a one-loss SEC team with the grueling schedule that you have to go through is a lot better than an undefeated Big Ten anything team, unless that Big Ten team looked dominant while doing so. I mean, this is a team that just gave up 41 to a putrid Michigan team.
When did Michigan become so putrid? Those games are always classics.
Have you looked at the last month before this game?
Those games are always classics. Yeah, I think they were preseason top 10.
They gave up 24 to Iowa. They gave up 30 to Northwestern. That game was in question right down to the very end. They gave up 24 to Wisconsin. Hey, they did put up a goose egg against Florida A&M in that 76-0
against Florida Atlantic or Florida State play them. Here's the thing. We are going to be having this identical argument next year.
Your local sports authority. This is Sound Off with the Comets, presented by PHP. Live from Champion Sports Bar.
The Comets are coming off of one of their most productive weekends of the season so far. A tremendous road win Saturday night in Kalamazoo, 4-1. Then they backed that up last night at the Coliseum with another impressive victory, 4-1 again, this time over their arch rivals, the Evansville Icemen. The K's, I believe, now ready to hit their stride. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sound Off with the Comets. As always, we are live from Champions here in downtown Fort Wayne. Tell you what, it is hockey season, it is hockey weather, so let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, and let the Comet victories continue to pile up. Kent Horman here tonight in for Tommy Schegler. He's having a little bit of a family Christmas out in the Washington, D.C. area, and he saw a whale of a hockey game yesterday taking in the Washington Capitals game. So Tommy will be back later this week. But right now, everything that is Comet hockey, and we are pleased to be joined by one of the K's bright young stars, goaltender Andrei Makarov. Andrei, thanks for braving the snow. It was a little bit of tough sledding to get here tonight, wasn't it?
I mean, it was not a problem. I'm just coming. I kind of got stuck in my parking spot right now, but I guess I'm fine.
Well, we've got a big crowd here of Comet fans who will be happy to help you get your car out of there after we talk hockey here for the next half hour. And I'll tell you what, I saw his ride out there because I almost got stuck right next to him. It's a pretty tasty sled, so it's good stuff out there. But thanks for being here. And a great weekend for the hockey team. You really set the table with the win in Kalamazoo on Saturday night, and you had a tremendous night in goal. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, just every night I'm coming to my game and try to do my best and help my team win. I mean, that's the best I can do.
You had one of those games that for a goaltender could be a little tricky. Only had 3 shots in the first period, and once the Comets got the lead, Kalamazoo really turned on the pressure in period 3. 20 shots alone in the third period, 35 for the game, and we were talking about before we went on. Sometimes goaltenders like to see as much rubber as possible, but that's an awful lot of work in period 3, especially when you have to hold on to a lead.
You know, I just tried my best, and try to help my team win. That's all. I mean, when we do everybody in the team. It's 22 guys in the team, and everybody try to help each other.
Everything, it seems, starts, though, from the goal on out. They always talk about you have to build from the goal, then the defense, then you work up to the forwards, and it seems like this is one of the best weekends the goaltending has had. You Saturday night, Cody yesterday. Again, both of you faced an awful lot of shots, but when the team gets more and more confidence in you guys, first shot, then they clear, and then they turn it back the other way and try to put the puck in the net, it just seems everything feeds off of you guys in goal. And you could just tell the spirit in the room last night. Everybody was really pumped up, and all they could talk about was your play Saturday and Cody's yesterday. So the goaltenders really kind of, I think, are the spark plugs of the team. Talk about that.
You know, I mean, I think goalie is the best part in the team right now, and which I help our team. And me and Cody just starting probably after every game. I mean, I play first game, he plays second game, and no matter who play, and we're supposed to win the game for the team.
Okay, Tina Fox is the winner of the bobblehead, number 2. The tickets. And the winner is Donovan Miner. So we have Tina Fox winning the bobblehead and Donovan Miner. Do you know what the schedule is as far as which games you're going to be playing this weekend?
No idea. It doesn't matter which game is that.
All right, it's a pleasant situation to have when Coach can go with a hot hand. Andre, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Tom, you'll be back next week. See you next time, everybody.